Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor, and welcome to our small business uh, town hall, virtual town hall. Every Tuesday at noontime, we get together and talk about really important issues that are related directly to our businesses. Of course, we talk about other issues that have, directly related to the COVID-19 and the virus and the impact that it's had on the state of Rhode Island. So you always can be contacting our office at 222-2371, I think it is. I keep on forgetting that number sometimes, but yeah, contact our office, email us on any issues that matter. Yep, 2371. So today we're going to be, getting updates on what's happening on the small businesses, and as I mentioned last week, real important things relative to the small businesses. We've extended that December 30th deadline on the use of the CARES Act funds that allows us to use those dollars into 2021. And so we're going to be really asking again for an accounting on the monies that were allocated to help the small business, what was actually awarded and what remains, because now that deadline gives us a great deal of flexibility, as Governor Baker found out in Massachusetts. There's many things that are going to allow him to be more aggressive to help the small business community. I think that Rhode Island's in the same spot, and we'll continue to ask for a Restore Rhode Island 2 version with the dollars that have not been awarded yet, but have been allocated to help the small business. I think that tens of millions of dollars could be available and get them directly to the businesses. We know that is a tough time right now for everybody. We're transitioning into what Mark Hayward will be talking about today with the stimulus package and the PPP loans, how forgivable they are, and what the dynamics of that is. But we know that as long as we have the virus and the infection rates and that risk, that our small businesses are going to be impacted in a way that's going to be very challenging for them for at least the first half of this year, maybe beyond. We need to really focus on the vaccines and getting those out as quickly as we can. And I know that those are in the works right now. I had mentioned a couple times publicly, we had a nursing home that had let me know that both their residents and their staff have got vaccinated last week. So hopefully we kind of get into those areas. Teachers are next. I think teachers need to really be vaccinated very quickly, and with a local, authority, given a local authority to make those things happen. But supply and demand, there's a gap right now between the supply of the vaccines and the demand is high. We got to do everything we can to facilitate a real strong vaccination strategy. And we'll be talking about that next week a little bit, about updating on where we are, because there's many questions that we're receiving from friends or people who know they can call our office. And right now we're taking, if someone feels though that they are in need of a vaccine and they're not getting it, again, remember, supply and demand is far more demand right now than supply. But we're taking names and numbers and locations and taking stories, and then we're referring you to the health department, who right now is managing the distribution. But we also are interested in hearing from people who feel as though that there's a need there. I had a call from a personal friend that has a family member that is waiting, is in a very bad spot right now, and looking for a transplant, an organ transplant. And how is that going to impact that individual? We're trying to get information, but I think we need to have some level of patience there, knowing that a supply is going to increase, and we'll try to keep everybody up to date on that. It's time to do a full out report to everybody. I know that our office has participated through our chief of staff, Tony Silva, who was my police chief when I was a mayor of town of Cumberland, in a 3-hour seminar, and our CERT team in Cumberland has been vaccinated, and they're preparing to do a full vaccination strategy in the town of Cumberland, and that's happening in all the communities around the state. We just got to make sure that every community is prepared when that supply comes to get out the vaccines as quickly as possible. Otherwise, our economy is going to lag. Last thing I'll talk about, before we get to our panel, I want to talk about this every time, is because the education is really a critical issue, not only for the boys and girls that are in school right now, whether they're in a private school or a district public school, or whether they're in a charter school or a mayoral academy or in Rhode Island, or even if they live in Rhode Island but they go to school outside the state. We got to really be concerned about the fact that there's hundreds of hours of learning time that is being lost through no fault of the administrators and the teachers. They're working overtime to make this happen, but the virtual instruction and the hybrid formulas that have to be put in, and the stress that's on the administration and the teachers and the families in our schools, they got all they can do is to cope with, making that as the best they can. What are we going to do with the hundreds of hours of lost learning time? I'm suggesting that we really take a strong look at municipal education departments. I started one with our town council in Cumberland back in 2007. We're starting our 15th year now in Cumberland. Mayor Murray was my successor. He kept that going. Now Mayor Mutter in Cumberland is keeping it going, reaching out 52 weeks out of the year with reading programs, math programs, science, art, music, direct connection into thousands of kids every year. And what better way right now is to shape these municipal education departments 52 weeks out of the year to really be intentional about filling in these lost learning hours, whether it's in civic instruction or whether it's in math or science or reading. We can do it, and we can get underemployed teachers. We also can get retired teachers. And we also, because we know that right now there's going to be a real strong push to get teachers of color in front of the classrooms. That's not going to happen overnight, but this is a direct way. And I'm working with some young people right now about the merits of actually bringing into different communities, teachers that represent the communities that they serve. And this is a direct way to get that done. Instruction could begin immediately in a way that could be very helpful to our students. So anyways, that's where I am on the small business, the grants, the vaccines, and now on the schools. But let's get some more concrete information with our guest. I think we have Joe Rodeo in the back, and also with Mark Haywood. Hi, Joe. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Happy New Year to you, Mark. Happy New Year to you too. Yes, I'm glad you're wearing the mask. That continues. I got my mask around the corner here. I'll go get it eventually, because I'm not going to go on with. I'm going to get it right now. Hold on a second.
All right, Governor. Well, I figure, I always come on with the mask. This one here is very convenient. It's a gator. All I have to do is pull it up at any point. There you go, Governor.
I'm not
pull it up
on
at any point.
And Liz is in the back room, so Liz Tanner, so we can't have that happen.
Oh, absolutely not. And Governor, I have one question. In order to be mayor of Cumberland, does your name have to begin with M?
Well, you don't have to be Irish. Jeff Mutter proved that. But yes, I guess that's one of the criteria. There's 3 M's going on, right? Yes.
Mutter, Murray, and McKee. I mean,
there you go. That's right. Well, I guess it didn't hurt. It must be.
No, I guess not.
Must be an easy name to remember, with the M's, so yes. But they've been doing that education office now since I left. I'm just telling you, it's an innovation that I worked with Dr. Mike McKee on, and Mike is now National Executive Director of Chiefs for Change, which is training superintendents and as well as commissioners, education commissioners, and leaders in schools.
Right.
Very, very smart. And I tell you, Mark, what that's done for our community is positioned us to have a real education focus. And that's going to be so important to our economy. And you're going to see that as the kids learn more, their incomes increase, the per capita income increases. We know, Mark, just on that issue alone, that if we're able to achieve at certain levels, say Massachusetts public school levels, that our income levels in the state of Rhode Island will increase by as much as $2 billion. What is that going to do to local small businesses to have that money going into families around the state? It's just going to be powerful. So that's why I always link it in with this discussion.
No, I agree. It's definitely important. It's important to not only to the students, but the teachers and particularly the administrators. And I applaud you for bringing that forward, because those are things that we need to know about. Now, just to change a little bit.
Yes.
I know that everybody is anxious. The funny thing, Governor, is I sent out, and I know you're on my email chain. I think Joe is as well. I sent out an email. The title of the email was Patience. And the reason that we're asking for patience is the president did sign the bill, and the bill did give a period of time, 10 days. And I haven't quite figured out if those are 10 calendar days or 10 business days for the agency to come back. And there are a number of things that have to be done by the agency.
Okay.
We had a briefing on Monday, Governor, and we were told that not to expect any additional information on PPP or idle advance until next Monday. So I am assuming that we will get that information probably on Friday. We're going to get a debrief on Monday. So hopefully by next Tuesday, Governor, I will have the information that you need. I will also tell you that I took a little time off. I was off from the 23rd until came back in. The funny thing is, we talk about taking time off. I was on conference calls and on emails and trying to get rid of emails, so to speak. I did a little inventory. I had over 600 emails from the time I left to the time I came back. Yeah. And it just gives you it's not only from the lenders, but it's also from the small business community. And I think it just goes to show you what people need dollars, and they need them now. You and I have always talked about the fact that this is a liquidity issue. We need to get money in the hands of small businesses because they need that liquidity in order to survive. And that's exactly, hopefully, what we're going to do. I've talked to a lot of lenders. They're on board. They're just waiting. And the other thing that I want to say is in this package, there's a number of things that are at the advantage of small business. One, if you get another loan and you close it after February 1st, I don't know if you saw this, Joe, then you have 6 months of payments where the SBA is going to be paying that loan for 6 months. So there have been a couple of businesses who want cash right away. I suggested, well, maybe you want to wait 30 days so that you can get in the queue for this. The other thing is there are advantages to small businesses when it comes to the PPP program, because it's now $150,000 or less is basic forgiveness. They have to come out the agency has to come out with a new application. That does not mean that you're going to be just forgiven by waving the wand. Or, by the way, I have my Harry Potter wand here in case you were wondering, Governor. Yeah. But you do have to fill out the form. You are attesting to certain things, but it's hold harmless for the lender, hold harmless for the borrower. But you got to make sure that you're providing the necessary information. We've had a lot of discussion about fraud. I continue to be concerned about fraud and where that is going. We get lots of questions. We're getting a lot of people who are calling the office and sending us information. We were told on December the 14th that there was going to be a new process for this. Governor, I'm hoping that I will have that new process for you next week, because that's going to be critical to making sure that if you are a victim of fraud, that it's no longer your responsibility to pay for that loan. So that's kind of what I got right now.
Yeah, the fraud issue is festering, right? I mean, even with the reports that have come out with Tim White and about the different types of fraud out there, and it seems as though it might be creeping a little bit into Rhode Island. So we have to be aware of not only the fraud that's stealing people's information to use it, but also the fraud that's out there that is impacting our small businesses negatively because people are abusing the application process, right, Mark? I mean,
yeah, we want to make sure that the money gets to the people who really need it. And I think that's a real fundamental problem that we have, Governor, is that there are too many people out there. Getting a little feedback.
Yeah, I'm going to switch over to another unit. Yeah.
Okay. So there are many people out there that are victims of fraud. We know that the farm situation is what WPRI was talking about. And very simply, you look at Central Falls and somebody files for a loan for a farm in Central Falls. It's just not happening. So not unless you know something, Governor, that I don't, but I don't think that there are any cattle farms in Central Falls.
No, I don't think so. We did our farm tour, and we did get a farm-related store with the photo. What do they call a photo? When they do the photo genics. What do you call it, Joe? Huh?
It was a hydroponic.
Hydroponic. Yeah. So we found something like that in Central Falls, but we didn't find too many cattle farms. No, that was not there when we did
Yeah,
our farm.
So we know that there are like what do they call those microgreens, which are located microgreen farms, which are located in certain. Somebody's trying to call into somebody. I don't know where that's coming from, but there are certain things that we're aware of. But a cattle farm in Central Falls is not one of them.
No.
So we just want to make sure that in the future when there is money available, and I will be very candid with you. There's a lot of people on the internet right now. I went on the internet and I said, I put some information in and basically pulled up where people are saying, well, this is, you can, for $150, you can get 5,000 if you file for a grant. Just remember, I mean, the IG, the FBI, the U.S. attorneys, the state police, they're all going to follow up on these at some point in time. You think you're not going to get caught, you will. And we need to get this money to the people who need it most, Governor.
Yep, that's what we're doing. And then, we'll track back with you during the year, though, that whole idea when there's going to be need for more liquidity and that loan, strategies that the SBA and the state could partner in a way, because that's going to happen. I know that's going to happen. There's going to be a need for cash flow to buy that extra 6 months to a year or 2 years, because we know how hard hit these small businesses are, and many of them are the next level of the federal monies are going to help them buy additional time, but we don't know how much time these businesses have to buy. I was on a call on New Year's Eve with a restaurant that we think that should have got a great deal more money in the PAWS grants, but got a check for $500, and we got to dig into that because that's happening over and over again. And yet a $20,000-$30,000 infusion into that business would buy them another 2-3 months, which probably get them to the PPPs.
So the other thing, Governor, particularly as it relates to hospitality and some other service industries and certain next codes in the legislation itself, Joe, I don't know if you saw this, but certain next codes are allowed 3.5x instead of the 2.5x. So there are some advantages, particularly in hospitality, hoteliers, and some of the other industries that are very hard hit. Again, they have to demonstrate the fact that they've had a 25% or more loss. If you're looking for PPP loans, a couple of things that I would recommend, Governor, is one, if you got a PPP in the first round, go back to the same lender that you got it in the first round with the hopes, that the ease will be there. Two, if you're in particular, you have to have a 25% diminution in revenues, and I'm sure that most, if not all, Governor, of our small business community is going to meet that, but make sure that you have the documentation that you need. And if you're in the hospitality industry in particular, you want to make sure you get that 3.5x, because that's, when you get 2.5 times, that was great during the first round, but 3.5 times for hospitality, because they are in certain next codes, and I don't have the next codes in front of me right now, which are the North American standardized industry codes. And I apologize for that, Governor, but, we'll get all of that information out when we get more information next week.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And we're taking calls in our office to, just get a catalog of people who need information. We're letting them know that the information is not available, but we are taking names and numbers, and so that we can follow up with them, once we get the information. And what you did in the first round was phenomenal in terms of, making Rhode Island a real, target area for you and personally. And that's helped so many small businesses, and we know they need the help. So we need to get
$2 billion is a lot of money, Governor.
What's that?
$1 billion in Rhode Island is a lot of money, and we want to make sure we get at least $2 billion in Rhode Island over the next 30 days. That would be great.
That's the idea. It dwarfs the CARES Act funding for sure. And, that's not important, but we're talking about tens of millions of dollars. There are 100 million or more in the CARES Act, but we're talking, billion or more, a couple billion or more. And the more information our businesses have, and the more they can actually qualify because they know how to do it. And that's what your office has done. The more dollars that be brought into Rhode Island right now, the better chance that we have to recover quickly. And that's the idea. So thank you so much for your leadership, Mark. We'll be talking.
Thanks, Governor. Appreciate it. Joe, good to see you.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, I think that Matt's coming on. Oh, hi, Matt.
Okay, how are you?
I'm glad you got that on there. We can't let
Always.
you think that we're forgetting her. I just came from swearing in Charlie Lombardi, Mayor Lombardi in North Providence. It was me and his wife Carol and one person kind of taking pictures. But I made sure I had my mask on, and Charlie had his mask on, and Carol had her mask on. So we got to make sure that we do that so that we can keep everybody safe. The new theme that I've got is stay safe, stay positive, test negative in 2021. That's the strategy. So
Absolutely.
tell us all the positive things that we got to look forward to and all the work that's happening in your office right now, Matt.
Sure, absolutely. So last week, the Department of Labor came out, and I told you on our session last week that they said there would not be a pause or a break for unemployment claimants on the federal programs, that we could begin paying for what's week ending January 2nd, which was Saturday. We pay with a week ending date. It's like a payday date. At the end of the week, we then send out payments when people request them. Rhode Island was very quick to act. We had been working in anticipation of that decision and hoping that was the decision that was made. So because that happened, we were able to get that extra $300 boost that was created out with this week's payments. I don't know how many states are doing that. I know we did for sure, because yesterday we worked all weekend to do it. And yesterday morning, my IT guy reached out quickly and said, as of 8 in the morning, 62,348 claimants had requested $18.7 million of that extra 300, and it went out the door. So
Wow.
And I know now that 80,000 people certified in Rhode Island last week. So I expect, this number will come closer to 80 by the end of the week, which will bring that number over $20 million in stimulus money from the federal government to help boost our economy. Let's hope they're spending it locally, getting some takeout at hospitality, restaurants throughout the state, small, shopping at small businesses, things like that. It was important to us. That's one of the biggest factors for us when we decide how to get money out. We can't wait for the federal bureaucrats to always issue 15 versions of guidance. We know what the law says. We know the right thing to do. Get the money out the door so families have it and they can spend it when they need it. We know it's a tough time. So that's happening. Like I said, about 80,000 people a week are certifying. People that were on the federal pandemic unemployment, which was the 1099 gig worker self-employment program, are continuing to certify.
Yep.
Those will go up to 50 weeks total. There were 39 weeks before. On top of that, we may be able to stack another 7 weeks, depending on what our unemployment rate looks like over a period of time. So we're telling people, just keep certifying. Every Sunday, certify. If you run into a problem, reach out to us. Yeah. We're here to help. We want to help. I'm urging people to go to our website to try to find information as much as you can without calling in. If you need to call in, it's because you don't have access to your payments. If it's just for a status update or to get reassurance, that's okay. But understand that means that somebody else that needs to get access to a payment can't get through. Yesterday, we had almost 80,000 phone calls. And so while we helped,
How many phone calls?
80,000 that came in. Now,
I thought I heard you say that. That's another indication. I want people to know that patience is important, as Mark Haywood said earlier. And but again, the extraordinary work you're doing. Go ahead, but I want to have
80,000 come from about 5,000 people. So we can tell how many unique callers there are, Governor. And so it's about 5,000, 5,500 people, and they called 80,000 times.
Yeah.
So we understand that you're frustrated and you want to get through. We're doing everything we can to get to you and to help you. But if you really just need to get a status update, please try to use the web tools that we have in place.
Yeah.
And remember that we're open, the call center is open 6 days a week. So you don't always have to try on Monday. Monday's the busiest day of the week for us. Yep. If you can wait until Tuesday or Wednesday, you may have a better chance. Other than that, Governor, all the programs continue. The WorkShare program that we've spoken about quite a bit, which is the program that allows businesses to reduce the hours of their employees instead of laying them off and separating them from employment. That is now federally funded through March 14th, I believe, at the moment. Okay. Or in Rhode Island, it would actually be March 13th. But get your applications in. Go to our website or just Google DLT Rhode Island WorkShare. It's going to bring some information up, submit an application. We're actually seeking a grant to be able to modernize that program even more than we've already done during this pandemic. Yeah. We're chasing money every week to do things like that. The last thing I want to mention is fraud, because Mark brought it up and you do, and it's an issue that's top of mind for everyone. Last week, USA Today ran an article about unemployment fraud, and they mentioned that they spoke with a Nigerian scammer who obviously didn't go give their information, but they were able to connect with someone in Nigeria that talked about how the scheme is working. And it's truly disgusting. And, we say that bad people do bad things. And one of the questions they asked was, do you feel any remorse? And they said, absolutely not. We don't know these people. It's federal, it's government money. The way we buy information online, we submit these claims, we find what we call a money mule in the United States, which is someone that we can send the payment to. They're able to hold a little piece for that work and then send us the rest. And this is what they're doing, and they're attacking unemployment programs from coast to coast. I'm very happy to say that Rhode Island has done quite a lot to combat that. In the beginning of the pandemic, we put a good Cumberland guy, a lawyer by the name of Mike White, who's a dear friend of mine, and his father was a police officer in Central Falls and a Cumberland guy for a long time.
Two thumbs up, Cumberland. Two thumbs
Michael
up.
was a prosecutor with the AG for 18 years. He's running our fraud effort right now, and I think we're running the best fraud effort in the country. In fact, I believe the United States Department of Labor is going to mirror some of our work and push it out to other states. And so it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means that we're doing more and more to detect it, stop it quickly, and prevent money from going out.
Yeah, Matt, I know that to be true because not only the work that your office is doing on that, but the collaboration with our state police units and fraud, the Attorney General and fraud. We had a different fraud situation for a local resident in Cumberland that we followed up on, and they got scammed, but we were able to. Somebody knocked on a door in North Carolina and pulled that guy out, and that was like that middleman, that was kind of filtering the money through, and that guy's going to jail. So, but that's because of work that our state police did. That's work because of our Attorney General's office and our local police. So, yeah, we've got a real strong team, and that's focused on this because, as Mark said, those resources are limited, and we want them to go to people that need the help. We don't want them to go to someone who is not entitled to them. And then worst scenario is someone that ships it out of the country. And then our hard work, that provides these resources to people who need help right now are diminished. So I'm glad to hear that you feel as though you're on top of that. And Rhode Island wants to be that place that gets the money out to the people that need it the most. And that there's, and then make sure there's as little fraud as possible to make happen. So, and we need to make those guys pay if we can get them. That's for sure.
Right. That's right.
If we do that, Joe, you got any questions at all for Matt?
No, thanks, Matt. Just really grateful for your work and everyone over there, just to keep things as stable as possible in what was for some time a volatile Washington environment, and just keeping Rhode Islanders at the front of the picture and making sure that they have the support they need.
Thank you.
And Ben might have something for you, Matt, but I do want to track back with you on, figuring out a strategy again to continue more, communication on the work share strategy for our small businesses. I think it's a fantastic program. And I know that, the calls that I had even on Monday with the Coalition of Small Businesses, they are gearing up for a very tough time frame for them right now. And they know that some of it's not in their control, but that work share program for businesses that don't know about it could be, a life raft for them right now. So, I'm going to follow up with you about strategies that we can actually communicate that out even in a broader way than your resources allow you to do it. So,
of course,
Ben, you got something? Yep.
I do. Hey, Matt. So someone asked, how long does it take to process a reopened claim? I haven't heard anything. It's been over 2 weeks since filing.
So there's a million reasons why a claim may not come through what we call cleanly. A clean claim is one that's processed. There's nothing in the claim that would stop it from going. It's a COVID reason or a lack of work, a regular layoff, and it should sail through. But if you live out of state, if you had worked out of state before you filed in the last 18 months, if you're now filing for a different program than you collected from before, if you have a stop on your claim for any reason, like you were on TDI or some other reason, those things could all hold you up. Those are the people that need to call into 415-6772. That you can call in, they can fix it almost immediately. If you're on this session, send your information to ltgov20@gmail. They'll reach out to me and I can help.
Okay, Matt. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. This is
Okay.
going to keep on going. That's for sure. But thank you so much for your efforts, and everybody back in your office. Please again share. Oh, Liz is on. This is good. Thanks, Matt. Okay, I got I think I got one of our designer items on, and Joe, hey, it's very colorful too. I see Joe's
Yeah,
and
Joe,
yours.
was that a holiday one? Did you finally get a holiday
Yes.
mask?
I mean, what's that one going on there? It's like
It's a leftover holiday ho 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 mask.
yeah. Well, the holidays.
You had that a couple weeks ago, Joe.
I did. I just didn't have it the first time you asked us. Yet I had noticed,
yeah.
but I'm going to wear it now. I'm hoping to not be wearing it next Christmas.
The holidays are over. I want to show you my tree.
Oh,
that's true. Yes, that'll be.
Can you see my tree, Liz? It's outside now. The decorations are gone. It's kind of like a sad time, but anyways, it's going to be a good year, right? Good year.
Very good year. I want to acknowledge this one's from Robin Rugg in Bristol, Rhode Island. You know, all my stuff pretty much comes from the East Bay, but Robin Rugg in the very beginning of the pandemic was, they had the materials. And so they were the first mask that I ever received. So they made masks for just about everybody around. And so we just want to thank them for that. So Robin Rugg in Bristol.
Wonderful. Tell us what's happening in your world, Liz.
So I wanted to chat real quick about testing. So the testing capabilities have increased tremendously. And so I was on a call this morning where I said, listen, I'm going to be on the Lieutenant Governor's television show today with hundreds of business owners. What should I share? And they said, it's time to talk to the business owners about having their employees tested. We have the testing. It's gotten so much easier. It's so much quicker. So I'm here to encourage employers to have their employees get tested on a regular basis, whatever makes the most sense for you. And they can do that via the portal, portal.ri.gov. It's very simple. I actually had a family member who got on there this morning. They signed up. They could get an appointment within an hour, and they went on their way to get the appointment. So it is very simple to do that. So we want to encourage our business owners to do that. Why is it really important now? Because of the holidays, right? So right now you're having a lot of household members who might be getting ill. So it's really important to do some screening. And so you can either talk to them and ask them about how they're feeling. Is anybody at home not feeling well? Things like that. And if they have anybody that is at home that's not feeling well, then maybe they should get tested before they come to work for you, even if they are not feeling ill themselves. So the testing is available to everyone. Please take the time to do so. There's tests all over the whole state. And it's time for employers to really start thinking about asking their employees to get tested.
And Liz, I've been talking to the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association that is partnering in on this testing strategy, and feeling though that there's tests that could actually be test kits that could be provided to some businesses in a pilot program. Are you aware of that program that they can actually bring?
I started with the manufacturers just because there's a lot more employees in one location, and it's been quite successful so far. And I think we're looking at expanding it out, particularly with certain associations, maybe through some chambers of commerce, with some of our bigger employers. All of those things are being discussed right now. We just wanted to do a pilot with the manufacturer to see how it goes. Yeah,
and it seems as though it's going to expand based on what Dave Shenovit has told me, and he's going to come on next week and kind of talk about that. But there's ways that we can help these businesses, and we did have a call yesterday with the coalition, and these issues came up. And I think there's some creative ways that if we do have access to those testings, and they're quick result testing, I believe that we're talking about. That even some of the people who were looking to do events or like volleyball events or something like that, we might be able to coordinate something that allows everybody to come and get tested, and if they're okay, the event, the local community may look favorably on having some of these events to kind of accelerate it, but do it in a safe way. But it seems as though that testing is so important, and your point there is so critical, I believe, that we, that whole, the concept I got going on is to stay safe, stay positive, but test negative, and in 2021. And I think that's a real important message. So as we get more information on that, I know that there's an appetite for not only testing into the small businesses and the staff, but also I think some creative strategies that could to allow some of the events to happen. I know that they got to be controlled, but if we knew everybody that was tested was at a 30 people 40 people at a volleyball game, and they could come in early, get their testing done, and then know that they're okay, then we might feel more favorably about still wearing the mask, doing all the things that we talk about. But that event might be able to go forward in a way that might make sense. So, exploring that was one of the things that I was asked to do.
So the wedding event folks have really talked to us about that, right? Because as we know, they've been just slammed with lack of business for them to do that. So that, of course, would be our priority. Would try to get the wedding folks back into business. But I got to tell you, it's just too early, right? It's just too early to make those kinds of big group decisions. There's a lot of people who think, the vaccine's here, so let's have we got a request today for a 4,000 person event. And it was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, we're just so not even close to that kind of a situation. So those conversations are happening. Obviously the weather gets better. It will be much easier, but all those things are being discussed, and some really great ideas, particularly from the wedding event folks, have been coming out. One other thing I did want to point out, you were talking earlier about vaccinations and people being able to get vaccinations. We have been getting business associations who have reached out and said, this is why certain folks from our industry or our industry would need to be vaccinated sooner than others. And so I personally am receiving those letters and then working with the Department of Health to share them. Now, do I want to get a letter from this business or that business? No. That's, please don't do that to me. But if you are part of an association or part of a bigger group, or everybody's so different, it's hard to kind of put it into buckets. But if there's a way to group together what it is that you do that you want to try to get to the front of it, or at least higher up on the vaccination schedule, you should feel free to email me directly, or you can send it to the DBR, and they'll send it to me and we'll work with them. We've got just a few people who feel like that, or wherever you think you might fall in there. You should feel free to advocate for yourself and make it known, and we'll provide that information to RIDO, and they'll look at it, analyze it, and see where they can put you on the vaccination list.
Yeah, that's great. And Liz, I think that, again, they're just reinforcing the fact that just like Matt Weldon's taken 80,000 phone dials into his office, you're taking thousands as well. And, that number just floors me, but that's how people want information, and they're going to keep on repeating that call. So, but they can contact
you. A couple hundred a day, 80,000. I can't.
Yes, I know. I saw you text that. Yeah. But I think it's important for people to know that your office is wide open. And I'll just put a little bit of editorial in here. This is not new to you. You've been very interested in helping small businesses for the years that I've known you in the capacity that you've had either at Commerce or, at the DBR. So, this is in your heart. You want to be helping these businesses, and you're reflecting that in the work that you're doing. So, contact have people contact your office or contact ours, and we can pass along the information. I was on a radio program this morning, and I said, people are concerned about the priorities of the vaccines and that type of thing. And I said, well, if you think you're in a priority area and you're not getting attention, just, contact our office. We'll take your name and number. We'll at least, record that as a factor. And as the supply increases, that's good information to have. So that's the same thing. We're gathering a lot of information on these calls as much as responding, right, to kind of figure out what the next steps are, as you just said. And we're probably not going to be able to do a 4,000, a multi-thousand type of event, but you might be able to figure out a wedding at 150, how to make that safer so that can expand quicker. So we only can do what we can do. Joe, you got anything for Liz?
Yeah, well, thanks for just continuing the work you do to make sure that consumers know that their businesses, are still operating in a safe manner. I'm glad you raised the vaccines, because those associations, not only in pointing out some of the folks that might need to be a priority, but are also an important vehicle in getting some of that consumer confidence back because of the medical privacy issues. They may be on an anonymous basis able to track, what percentage of workers are vaccinated in certain settings. And after what may be a difficult stretch that we're coming into now, it's going to be really important that people know when things are safe, and that we're turning that switch back on again when it's available, and that people feel comfortable doing it, and they're not delaying re-engaging in the economy as a consumer and a participant unnecessarily. So thank you. And we've seen the healthcare association, Lieutenant Governor mentioned the healthcare association for the nursing homes has been sharing some of that data already to make sure folks know that they can be confident that, their parents, loved ones, aunts, uncles are safe and are having access to the vaccine. And I hope some of these other industries that are reaching out to you we'll keep that in mind as being part of the solution to build the consumer confidence to get back to where we can. Thanks, Liz.
You brought up a good point. You talked about, associations and stuff like that. There are plenty of businesses that aren't represented by any kind of an association. That's where you tap into the local chamber, right? So you talk to your local chamber. We have, a dozen of them, I believe, in Rhode Island. So, they're in every corner of the state. Some of them even might go to the merchants level association. Every town is different, right? But if whatever your advocacy group is, you should tie into that. It's much easier when there's a group of you who are advocating for all of you as a whole. And I always encourage people to join their local chamber of commerce, because if you don't know the answer, the chamber can find the answer for you. That's what their role is for you. So I'm always encouraging folks to join their local chambers.
Thanks, Liz.
Ben, you got something?
I do. Hi, Liz. Got a
Hey,
couple questions for you today. Peter says, question for Liz: can Mass residents who work in Rhode Island get tested in employer programs?
I think the answer is yes. If it's not, I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure it is, because if you're even visiting, you can come and get tested in Rhode Island. So I hate to say 100% yes, but I'm pretty sure. I see Joe nodding his head. So I think it is, but we'll double check and get some clarification there.
Thank you. And Diane Miguel asked, why can't we test at airports?
I know they were at one point doing something at the airport, so I'm not sure what's going on over there right now, but I know that they were doing something at the airports for some folks who were coming in. Maybe it was at peak certain hours, but it's not there all the time. I'm not quite sure, but I believe there is something set up to do that.
All right.
Thanks, thanks, Ben. One of the questions that came up on our coalition call yesterday was, again, there's a full understanding that, we're going to inch along until we get the vaccines out and we get the infection rate under control. But there's also, thoughts about how can we, move it quicker. And so one of the things was, I don't think that we are testing international travelers right now, Liz, according to what I was told. And they need to go into direct quarantine immediately. Yet we are, if somebody travels to California and back, we're doing, on travel that's inside the country. It would seem as though we want to take a look at that, because
let me get some answers and I'll bring them to next week. How's that?
Yeah, that's great. International, it's just like that's just why it triggered me. People in Massachusetts coming to Rhode Island, can they get tested? Well, people who come from the, international, like the Michigan or wherever, and they come from, that's still allowable travel, can they get tested so that they don't have to quarantine for the whole visit? So some people are on vacation for 2 weeks. So yeah, check into that for me. That'd be great.
You got it. We'll get you some answers for next week.
Excellent. Liz, thank you so much, and Happy New Year. Looking forward to working with you this year.
Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, Liz is, as you mentioned, Joe, DBR is working hard in a very difficult time. And a lot of people are, somewhat impatient in some ways, but there's a lot of patience out there, because I think people are realizing the work that they're hearing reinforced every week on this call, whether it's coming from Mark or DLT, right, with Matt or Liz, or, when we have Commerce on, I think that we represent, our office represents a vehicle that can actually let people know that they got access, and there are people that are working really hard on their behalf.
Yeah, there's no, people are up nights and overnights and trying to do our best to make health the number one priority. But beyond that, make sure that the economy continues to function. People have the resources they need to keep their businesses open. So
Yep.
Just we'll keep at it.
Yeah, 2021 is going to be another challenge, but we can stay positive. Just test negative. Stay positive, test negative. Ben,
Thanks,
please bring on our next guest. I don't know if Chris is here. I don't really have the agenda in front of me, but I figured that Chris from Trailblaze would be here. And Chris, and Lori's here as well. Oh my God, Lori's recovered. I think that she needed a little bit of, time off to kind of.
I told you yesterday, I hit the wall at the end of the year and I took 10 days.
Well, if yesterday's call is any indication, you're back in you're back in the game. Sure.
I'm back.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Chris, we had a good call yesterday, and I've kind of alluded to some of the things that we talked about, but why don't you fill in, and then Lori, can certainly add to the, she participated a great deal in the call yesterday too, and we'll talk about a shop local being a theme for all of 2021, but talk about some of the things that were on the minds of the business owners that were on the call yesterday.
Yeah, thank you. The folks on the call on our weekly call Mondays at 11 a.m. If you want to be on and join the call, email info@rismallbusiness.org. But one of the biggest things from that call is really a desire to create certainty in uncertain times, right? Right now, we feel there's a lot of uncertainty going on when it comes to events and businesses and with the new year coming along and then the new transition. So a lot of these small business are asking for, what is the plan over the course of 2021? When can we expect to start seeing certain restrictions lifted? For instance, if there is events, maybe not the tens of thousands that Liz alluded to, but even smaller events that takes months to prepare. And when you are a small business owner, you got to do your 2021 budget, typically by December or right now in January. So having all this uncertainty, it'd be great to understand really what is the projected phases and plans and what type of restrictions will be lifted if we, if we reach this level from a health perspective, then we can expect this at this point, right? So certainty in uncertain times. You mentioned the funds allocation, right? How much has been allocated? How much has been spent? Let's take that remaining and let's put it into the hands of the small businesses as soon as possible. We don't really have, months and months to wait. Let's get it into their hands now. And then when the PPP version 2.0 comes around the corner soon, that can help them through, the end of Q1 and maybe the beginning of Q2. And that's what's needed in order to even get to that point. So that's another factor. Then we had some specific things. You alluded to one of them about international travel with this 14-day quarantine requirement. It's really limiting the, folks that go on trips because they can't take the week or two to travel and then another 2 weeks off of work to quarantine. So having some type of restrictions lifted on that or, testing, right when you come in, right when you come out. There's other countries that are already doing this. So we could do it as well. And speaking about other states, right? Massachusetts. So another coalition business within our coalition is, sports and recreation. So Massachusetts has different laws than Rhode Island. We are limiting and restricting in-state competitions, yet Massachusetts is wide open. So we're losing business. We're losing folks that's going into Massachusetts. They're even hiring coaches in Rhode Island because they have so many Rhode Island players and whatnot, playing in Massachusetts because it's open there. So, this is also not just a physical health, it's also a mental health issue, especially for some of these kids, some of these, adults that, are looking for this outlet. So, those are a few of the things, but to kind of segue into handing it off to Lori, the other big thing is that we all, as every single Rhode Islander, needs to make a conscious effort to truly shop local. It's not just a saying. We have to make it a priority when we purchase anything. And we can't just do what's ever most simple and easiest with Amazon. It's not too hard to pick up the phone and call up a local business to see if they have the product in stock and pick it up. So, there's ways to easily shop local, and we urge everyone to do that. And Laurie, I think you have one other way to help them with that. Is that right?
I do. I hope so. I don't know. I wanted to show you my cool mask, though.
Nice. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you got one.
Yep, I do.
Liz will be happy.
My daughter,
Liz will be happy. Good job.
as you guys probably know, my daughter is a doctor in Texas, and she brought me a whole bunch of N95 masks. So my favorite color, too, by the way. So,
and she got the vaccination, right?
And she got the vaccination. Yes, she'll get her second shot, I think, in a week. But she has been really honored to be 4 hours a day, 2 days a week. And she has reported that it's quite emotional for a lot of people to receive the vaccination and feel like they have that level of health protection. So that's super important. From the small business perspective, today is all about patience in uncertainty, right? So we hear from our small businesses that the reality is the local small businesses are the safe place to go. They care for their customers and clients like their family. And so I can only say, when we take care of our businesses in Rhode Island, that is how we keep our dollars in Rhode Island and we allow the economy to grow. I think yesterday on the call, this idea of looking at the different industries in Rhode Island and really creating, like, where are they getting their dollars from? How are they maintaining their business? And how are they able to expand or at least maintain their business in the safest way possible here? It's again, what I keep saying, the two pieces of a small business coalition. As a coalition, we are gathering, we're building, and we're making sure that we address these issues from a lot of different fronts. And so this idea of being completely focused on dollars to the business comes in different ways. And so Shop Local Rhode Island, we have completely opened the ability for all businesses on the site to do e-commerce now. And we are working on that as we speak to make sure that businesses can enter their information. And so, we're going to keep doing the best we can. We encourage businesses to show their wares. I did all of my holiday shopping off Shop Local. And I have to say, it was pretty cool. I had deliveries of people from the business coming and delivering exactly what I bought and meeting the businesses. And it really creates an important, very foundational sense of the state and community. So I really encourage that, as I have been for a year. But yeah, it's going to be exciting, and I think we're gonna kick some butt this year. But it's January, right? So in December, I may be ready for a rest.
Well, there's a lot of work to do. The work is not done, and then we always have. I've talked to Chris and Justin when we first started, and Lori, that this work, even when we get past this, the vaccine issue, and we get to stabilize our small businesses and the economy, there's a great deal of work left to do, because before the COVID, before we had the pandemic, there was a lot of work to do. And what's so critical, I think, about the work that everybody's done in the coalition is it's going to create a voice as we start talking about some of the unlevel playing fields that Rhode Island small businesses deal with, whether it's locally or statewide in comparison to other states. And we can do things. That's one thing we've learned right now, is that in extraordinary times, we can do extraordinary things. And I think that's the mindset that we need to carry over, after this, after we kind of recover to a certain degree. There's still work to be done. And it shows that we can do some extraordinary things if we actually have a mindset to do it. So,
yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal to watch. Businesses are amazing. Yeah. That's all I can say. This isn't ending. The year's ending. We're getting a new president, thank God. And I think we still have to care for each other. The virus is still here. We're moving through it, but we need to do the right thing.
Yeah. Stay positive, test negative. I love it.
Right.
There you go. That's what we want to do. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'm going to bring out those businesses that have the persistence to kind of work through this thing. I think that we have Katie Chabot from the Body Rock Gym. We have Louis Estrada, right, from the Estrada Bookkeeping. Is that true, Kate? And then I think that we might have Tony Petrone potentially from the International Motor Group, which I hope that he's there. But if not, let's talk to Katie first. Katie, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Just have to unmute yourself. Oh, that's good. Oh, you had it for a second.
No, that's me.
You're good now. Oh, that's Ben. Okay, sorry.
Katie, restart your browser and come back in. Yep. And
is Louis or Tony joining us, or are we just
Tony can't make it, and Louis is.
I'm here, but I'm having some kind of trouble with the camera for some reason.
Well, then we can
okay.
talk, so.
Absolutely. Go ahead and talk.
So first of all, obviously this LT, I do have a mask on. I just have one of those surgical ones. So in keeping with the theme, I wanted to thank, obviously, for this opportunity here today. I actually have never been to one of these broadcasts that you have, and it's quite interesting to see all the characters on here with the updates, and so I'm appreciative of that. When I spoke yesterday to your assistant at your office regarding, I just wanted to say, first of all, I mean, I have my own small practice aside from having a regular foundational job. And the pandemic has not been easy on anyone. And I think for me, I was fortunate with my employer that I was able to absorb probably about 25% loss for the year, and mostly out of my personal practice. Offsetting the fact that I also had less expenses because of the pandemic. I think I fall into a better category than most people. However, just like many other business owners, my questions are still out there. In part, I wish there was some kind of timeline that we could have broadcasting expectations. Obviously, nothing concrete on when we think that life will have some normalcy and that could be updated, so that the general feeling of business as it was before, with these new available tools that we've discovered during the pandemic, would be available. And I don't know, at the end of the day, how much your office can work on something like that. But it was just a question that came to my mind, and say, what, one of the the serious concerns that all of us have is we started talking about, oh, this is going to be a pause for 2 weeks. That was in March of 2020, and this has been the longest 2 weeks that I think I've ever experienced in my life, and I'm sure the rest of the businesses as well.
Yeah, Lou. So that certainty is uncertain, right? I mean, that's that's why I've been out doing, talking about what a grassroots strategy is, going community to community right now, talking about, getting a community response that is a unifying response to the safety issue, and then making sure that we're communicating. There's some people who need to take more risk than others. They need jobs. They go. Liz was just talking. Liz Tanner was just talking about the we know that was a hot spot for some infection rates early on. But people who can't work at home need to work, and they need to bring a paycheck. So we need to figure out how to not only ask people to, isolate themselves where they can, at the same time, as Lori was saying and Chris was saying, but be aware that you can still give business to local businesses. We did a takeout on New Year's Eve. We didn't go into the restaurant, but we bought appetizers, and we bought full course meals, Sue and I, and we gave that local restaurant the same type of business, and we gave them a tip when we picked up the our New Year's Eve meals. So there's ways that we can support our local businesses and still be safe. But those who are going to travel, as we were just talking about travel, and those who are in need to go to church because of their religious beliefs, and they really need that, as support for themselves and their families. Though, we need to actually coach them in terms of how to make sure those events are as safe as possible, because we need to control and contain this virus contagion rate, and then we need to get the vaccines out. And then if we're able to do that, Lou, I think that we're going to be able to be a little bit more definite on what this all looks like. I've said publicly many times is that I think that I kind of like this, being incrementally flexible, meaning that we continue to try to add on and not do the pause like you talked about, not to reduce, but continue to add on. But at the same time, as you're adding on, we need to make sure that the safety issues are moving at the same time. So if our infection rates go down, then somehow there's going to be a tendency to reduce our footprint of our local businesses. But if we keep everybody kind of moving in the same direction, we should be able to move forward. I think there's some real hope what Liz was talking about with the testing capacity right now, and being intentional of where that testing goes. That could be helpful too. But tell us just quickly about, you've gone over where your business has been and how that's been impacted. But tell us what 2021 looks like for you, and in terms of the pandemic.
Well, I mean, 2021 is actually kind of in question for me right now because one of my bigger contracts was with the hospitality group. I don't my small business, because it's not just bookkeeping, but it's also some consulting that I do. And the hospitality group got hit early on, and my first move was basically to waive my monthly fees on my own. I figured it was going to be a month, and then later a second month, and then by the fourth month I dissolved the contract because I knew that the hospitality group was not in a position to maintain payments on, and there was the work scope was changing because of the dynamics with the pandemic as well. But so I've not bothered to engage any new work yet for 2021. So it's questionable, and I had a state contract I was working on, and that's already completed. So there's some questions about 2021 and how it's going to look, but I should be able to carry over 2021 and absorb the loss in revenues, and hopefully we find some answers here coming down the line that maybe mid-year that things will spark back up. But that part of it is tough. The future's tough, and I guess that's why, to me, a timeline would help identify when I think I could start getting engaged in some of the work I've done in the past.
Yeah, Lou. So the event planners were on our call yesterday, and they were talking about that it takes in some cases several months to plan an event. So that means that if their uncertainty is today, and it takes them 4 months to plan an event, then they're not going to do anything until May. And then if February comes and there's still not uncertainty, then they won't do it. They can't plan anything until June. So that's the thing that we need to really understand, is the fact that many of the work that's being done in the state requires planning, and they can't plan an event, and they're not going to plan an event. We had a barbecue who goes to a lot of the barbecues, and then is in a competition, but they can't plan the events. And then now what we've been saying as well, and that impacts somebody like you. So so we're all connected in. So we need to get the safety thing under control and get the vaccine out as quickly as we can, and really pay attention to that and be able to get into a spot where it provides that certainty. But Louis, thank you for being here and sharing your story. I don't know whether we have been able to connect in. Ben, are we pretty much done, or was Katie was able to come back on? Great. Let's hope that we have a little better connection this time. Katie, you're still muted, so unmute yourself. Just got to unmute yourself. No, that's not going to work, huh? Ben, we could, if we're not able to,
Katie was there. She it looks like she turned off both of her video and her audio, so I don't know what's happening there. Okay, hold on, Katie.
I think I'm back. Am I good?
Yes, you're
good. Katie, we got
a little funny. My husband's the tech person in the family, not me. So here I am, hoping for the best.
Well, tell us about Body Rock Gym, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sure. So we're a boutique fitness facility. A lot of our business is prided off of community, large group classes. We do offer private training. We have a couple cool things. We have an MMA fighter who actually trains people out of our gym. We do fitness competitions, transformations. So as you can imagine, a lot of our business is very personal, high touch, and built on community. So pre-pandemic, we had classes of, say, 50 women that would be in the building. So now we're down to about 15. But yeah, so our business is really fitness, nutrition, transformation, and just building a healthy lifestyle for people.
And where are you located, Kate?
We're on Mendon Road in Cumberland.
Yes, that's great. 2 thumbs up for Cumberland. And then what are the type of things that are have you been able to take advantage of any of the grant programs or any of the SBA programs, or did that bypass you? Give us a quick update on that.
So we did take advantage of those. I have to tell you that it was a very tough process. We were fortunate to get connected to great people and have some great connections to help us through the process, but we got right down to the wire because there were certain things that came up in the process, that just kept getting passed through offices, and we were right down to the wire. I think on the 23rd, I was standing in the Division of Taxation building trying to figure out, what we needed to do. So we got right down to the wire, but we did end up seeing the grants.
Good. And then going forward, what are the type of things that, you're looking to have happen, to make sure that your business is
Sure.
staying alive?
Yeah. So unfortunately, during the pandemic, we did lose our other location. So we did close it. But for 2021, we're hoping that consolidating the business down to offer, more services and have more equipment within one facility will allow us to do more things with small group training and personal training. We have about 6,000 square feet. So we have a decent amount of square footage to work with. So we've now tried to break the gym out into different sections to offer those different groups to allow for the spacing and all of those kinds of things. We were fortunate in the warmer months, our landlord let us use the outside, use the parking lot. That is not going to happen over the winter, obviously. But we do have we launched a virtual gym, so we tried to keep up with it that way. And we're just, waiting to hear on when we can maybe expand capacity or some of the restrictions. I'm sure, as you know, if you work out, that it's tough being 14 feet apart, wearing a mask, doing all of those kinds of things within a gym when you are working out vigorously. So we're hoping to use the virtual platform to really grow, and keep our customer base.
Yeah, so it's a challenge. I know that the PPP loans that Mark Haywood was talking about earlier in the program, that's something that we're going to want to make all our small business aware, along with yours, that's going to be, again, the funds buy time. They don't save a business, but they buy time. So we got to, and then as I mentioned before, I think that we can take monies that have been appropriated to help small business but have not been awarded, and then take those dollars and try to get, dollars back into the pockets of the small businesses through like a Restore Rhode Island version 2, and then take all the businesses that have been, have already received some dollars and give them a percentage of that, that pool of dollars, just to keep, that's what it was intended for. And then your business, I'll just give you a kind of last word here. What if somebody wanted to, work out in your business, why would they, we were talking about supporting local businesses right now. How could they do that in a way that would be helpful? You provide memberships in advance, gift certificates, strategies to, get the revenue into your business. Because
Sure.
this is a membership time, that was our business. We were in the business for 30 plus years. So this is a time frame that is a critical one for the fitness industry.
It is. So it's a critical for membership, but also transformations, right? People are typically kicking off like, hey, I want to start a new nutrition regimen and all of that, which is obviously not happening because people are home and don't, necessarily pay attention to that as much. But I think to support our business right now, we have that virtual gym that we offer membership to. It's a little bit more inexpensive than the in-person option if people want to support and they don't think they'll come regularly or they're not in that Cumberland, Smithfield, Lincoln area. But obviously coming into the gym, there are gift cards. We offer them online. We offer them in the studio, as well as we also have an apparel line. So, supporting the apparel line is also great, just getting the name out there. And then I think without spending money, I'm participating in that 90-day challenge that Ed Brady kicked off of supporting 90 small businesses. And I think just sharing and commenting and mentioning to people that in the area, hey, check out this gym, or hey, check out this restaurant, that goes a long way too. It's not always just spending money. Sometimes it is promoting and taking the time to share the posts and stuff.
Yeah, Katie, I think that's a great point. I know that Ed is a champion as well. And as we're all saying, this is the time to support our local small businesses. And I think that could be, if we do it well, I think that message could resonate beyond this pandemic. And that's what, we're working for. So Thank you for being here today. If somebody want to get on a virtual workout with you, do they need equipment in their house to do that?
No, you can do most of our workouts with all body weight, actually. You'd be amazed how much your body weight can be the equipment.
Great. Well, I think that's good for people to know. Because people watching this, they want to get into a workout. Oh, I don't have, the equipment at home, but if they could go on a program like yours or another fitness center in the state and actually get a good workout, and because that's an important part of our our health right now is to stay physically fit. So
I agree. And we also offer a variety of classes. So whether it's dance you're into or a high intensity interval training or like a fight night camp, we have it all. We have yoga, everything.
Well, Katie, thank you very much for being here, and I can't wait to come and visit your gym here in Cumberland. I'll stop by.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Okay, see you later. Yeah, those are two other businesses. We'll have Petrone, I think, next week from the auto dealers. We did one of our 39 tours. We did a tour of used car dealers back in the summer of last year. So we're carrying over with them too. All our businesses, let's support them. And I want to just thank everybody for joining again today. We'll be back tomorrow evening at 7:00 talking about some of the health issues. Contact our office if you have any questions. We are there every day. We do answer the phone, and we do get back to people. If we can help you, we'll let you know. If we can figure out a way to steer you in the right direction, we'll do that as well. And until we, kind of continue to regroup, you heard a lot of important information today from DLT, DBR, from Mark, and of course our coalition. Go to rismallbusiness.org, join the coalition. The more members that we have there's no charge to it. The more members that we have, the greater our voice is to help the small businesses in the state. And I think we can roll over those unused dollars that were appropriated to the small businesses, because that deadline, everybody needs to know, the deadline that Katie was talking about, the December 30th deadline, has been extended into 2021. So we can really regroup on a Restore Rhode Island grant version 2, and millions of dollars more that were intended to go to the small business can get there. And we can make sure that we're giving all our businesses the resources that are available that can help them get through this pandemic. So stay healthy. That's the theme. Stay safe, stay positive, and test negative in 2021. Talk to you soon.